So we are going live. Dinesh, you have a long day today.
I'm sorry?
You have a long day today.
I do have. In
Okay.
fact, I was on the phone with a client from India just now, so I got delayed in getting it.
Okay. Is my voice, am I audible? Is my voice clear? I mean, yours is clear.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, done. Done. So we'll just Hi everyone, welcome to the Finance Story Daily, where we bring you insights, trends, and stories to enable you make better decisions. So, there's a lot of curiosity amongst firms in India on what opportunities Dubai and GCC as a whole have, and how can they collaborate to tap onto these opportunities. At the same time, several folks in Dubai are also looking at starting their own. So, to help us understand the opportunities, we have with us Dinesh Singh, who's a founder of Quantum Consulting and Quantum Auditing. He's also a partner at a CA firm in Hyderabad. So, Dinesh, thank you so much for joining in. I mean, it's exciting to see and know about your journey in Dubai, and what opportunities do you foresee over here so that others can also learn from your experience and maybe collaborate with you in some way. So, thanks for the
Thank
time.
you. Thank you, Chantal, for having me on your platform. Good
Thank
morning
you.
to all our audiences this part of the world, and good afternoon to people who are watching us in India.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, basically, in terms of how did I start my journey, it's a long, short story. Allow me to please speak on this. During my formative years, in fact, one of the novels I was reading by Jeffrey Archer, Cain and Abel, that fascinated me so much to the extent that I decided to be a banker in my life. And I was actually doing science in my electives in my 11th and 12th standards. I shifted from science to commerce to pursue my graduation. And during the course of pursuing my graduation, I kind of was fascinated by the corporate law and the auditing norms and rules. That is when I made up my mind to pursue chartered accountancy as my career.
Okay, that's
So
great.
that's how it began. And before I could actually qualify, the last leg of my exams was still due to be passed. And that's when I got an offer from a multinational bank in India to head their auto loans division. That is an indirect business for that particular bank. So, meaning they would not do those sales for auto loans directly, they would utilize the services of a direct sales associate or franchisees as they are called. So I joined up with them, and it was a great association where I could contribute about 700% growth to their business in the territory in which I was operating. And then subsequently, I qualified my exams while continuing as a franchisee. And I was doing both, in fact. So I was doing banking on one part and practicing my accountancy profession also on the side. So I was kind of living my dream.
Amazing, cool. So that's amazing. So Dinesh, can you tell me how did Dubai happen? Okay, and everyone who's joined in, thank you so much for taking out the time. If you have any questions, please shoot out. We'll take out the questions right away. So Dinesh, in short, right? How did Dubai happen, and how did you start your career over here? And I see in 2009 you started quantum auditing, right?
Mm.
So
It was quantum consulting, in fact, Chantal.
quantum consulting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I will answer your
okay.
question here.
Yeah,
Now,
thank
in
you.
fact, while I was working with this multinational bank in India, we were operating at an IRR, or the effective rate of interest, which was crossing 22% at that point in time during the course of my career with them, in fact. And around the late 90s, early 2000 or so, uh, a few competitive banks started offering something in the range of 14 to 16%.
Yeah.
That particular rate we could not match. So our market share started declining kind of abruptly. So I had an option to join up with a competitor and sell car loans at say 12-14% or so, or maintain my professional dignity and not continue in that particular business at all. Now around that time, I got a call from a head of wealth management from a UAE nationalized bank, who was an ex-banker of that Indian multinational bank, in fact,
Yeah.
asking me if I would like to join his wealth management team, and I was quite happy about that. Plus, also looking forward to international exposure, while not forgetting that I am by qualification a chartered accountant. I landed in Dubai and joined up with this particular wealth management team,
Yeah.
And I'm told by the bank that the revenue that I generated in a single month, within 3 months of me joining, was the highest ever achieved by the bank since it launched its wealth management business in the UAE.
Hmm.
So that's one success breeds success, as we say. So that led to me getting calls from a couple of private banks from the DIFC. And I was quite happy at first the salary, etc., to jump from this bank to a multinational bank, rather a private bank based out of DIFC. But as fate would have it, this happened sometime in 2008, late 2008, when there was a global market crash,
Yeah.
and the business never really took off for this particular private bank, and I was jobless. End of the day, after having a great run throughout till this point in time, I suddenly became jobless. So I had an option to wait, keep looking out for jobs, etc., or look at getting back to the core of my competencies, basically, which is chartered accountancy or practicing in accountancy, basically. That's when I decided that I'd rather not join any organization as an employee, but plunge into my
Studies.
self-employment journey.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's when I started actually quantum consulting. I was, in fact, open to doing accounting, etc., including wealth management advisory services. But it so happened that most of my clients ended up being, clients looking for support in their accounting systems, internal control, management, accounting reports, and things like that.
Yeah.
That, in fact, was a great kind of a blessing for me because it took me back to my roots of how I actually got trained for my chartered accountancy. Now, Quantum Consulting was not an approved auditing firm by the Ministry of Economy UAE. So they have their criteria before they would approve someone as a signing auditor or grant you an auditor's license primarily. 2000, end of 2009, early 2010, I started preparing myself to approach the ministry for the license. It took me, say, about 11 months plus to assimilate and accumulate all the papers, etc. I made an attempt to get the license from the ministry. And courtesy my 16 years experience overall, including 5 years in the UAE, I was lucky to have received the license at that point in time. That is when we set up quantum auditing in 2011.
Okay. So from what I understand, in 2009 you started quantum consulting, where you were doing consulting,
Yeah.
right? And in 2011, quantum auditing. So a lot of CA firms in India, and also a lot of people over here want to get into auditing, say in the GCC in Dubai, because there's great opportunity over here. There's great growth that's happening, right? So when you talk about license, what is the license that you need, to start? If you can just tell us in a short bit.
See, I will draw a parallel with how you get your license in India,
Yeah.
Chantal. Here, you have to go through your rigorous training for 3 years of articleship training, as we call it. It has now apparently come down to 2 years only. And then you have to pass four sets of exams.
Yeah.
Once you do your exams and then you are qualified, then you become an associate member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India.
Yeah.
Then you apply for a certificate of practice if you desire to be a practicing auditor, or without a certificate of practice, you can join an industry as well. Let's assume, being a finance head or a CFO, etc., things like that. That's how it works in India. Now, here, the rules and the procedure is a bit different. The criteria is different. Now, there is no chartered accountancy curriculum as such in the UAE. So, most of the chartered accountants here are qualified from elsewhere. For example, let's assume UK, Ireland, India, etc., things like that. Then, when you're a qualified accountant, and particularly if you are a fellow member, meaning fellow membership is granted to you by an institute globally if you are a 5 year experienced practicing accountant, primarily. And if you're a fellow member of the institute and you have a local experience here, then the ministry would consider you granting a license. Else, it is kind of next to impossible. So I had all the credentials behind me, and the ministry approved my application to be a licensed auditor here. That's how it works here, unlike other countries.
Amazing, amazing. And I'll come to the point, where you mentioned that you lost your job in 2008 after so many wins, right? In the corporate world,
Yes.
you had to start. So I'll come back to that in a while. That's very inspiring. So I also want to ask you, how big is the opportunity for auditing in the UAE? Okay, we know it's big in India. We know it's big in a lot of other countries. How big it is in the UAE? Okay, and what service line does the best in the UAE? If I want to start a firm or a consulting, what does the best?
See, it's a very interesting question, in fact, and the opportunities are huge. Now, let me, in fact, mention to you quantum auditing story when we started off in 2011.
Yeah.
At that point in time, there were the legal compliance requirements or submission of audited financial statements as such was not really a mandatory requirement, particularly in for mainland entities in the UAE. It was
Yeah.
applicable for a lot of reasons, of course, where you would submit your client has to submit audit report to get his annual license renewed.
Yeah.
At that point of time in 2011-12, there were no taxes at all. I mean, there was no VAT also for that matter. So
Yeah.
we, and when you're when the so look, I will comply if there's a compliance requirement. If there's no requirement, then I'm not too, most businesses, in fact, unfortunately, I would say, are not too concerned about how their bottom line is and how their top line is performing, sort of thing, things like that.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, there are certain, have always been, in fact, a few mature businesses and business owners who are too concerned about how they're performing in their business.
Yeah.
That's when, in fact, quantum consulting also played a role initially, and quantum auditing also did. Now, subsequently, or rather, at that point of time itself, we knew that the time would come in the UAE when there would be taxes. It took some time. In fact, I guess I probably spent about 7 years before I could get into indirect taxes practice, which is VAT in the UAE, and almost 11 years since the UAE corporate tax has been announced now. So, coming to your question, the opportunities are huge. What was available then has evolved so much today that you need audit reports across all free zones, in fact. And courtesy the UAE corporate tax law, you need an audit report if your turnover happens to be equal to or over 50 million dirhams per year. You need to necessarily submit your audit report. And you can envisage as to how good and how big, how large the opportunity is.
Okay. So about 15 million or 50?
50, 50.
50.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you mean to say the opportunity is growing for auditing compliance kind of services. It's increasing, and you believe it's going to increase a lot more in future, creating a need for services like this.
Certainly, yes. There are reasons for this. In fact, as I said, UAE as a country has been, working very hard to be as compliance friendly as developed economies are. So the processes have changed. The government has become more strict over the recent years, and there are a lot of compliance requirements now which are kind of imposed on various businesses operating here. At the same time, keeping in mind how the ease of doing business opportunity that we have in the UAE, most of the global companies are wanting to establish their presence in the UAE for various reasons. Despite the fact that recently the government has also introduced a 9% corporate tax, it still makes sense when you trade off, a particular jurisdiction vis-a-vis UAE. It makes a lot of sense to have your presence in the UAE.
Yeah.
So businesses are, I mean, new additional incremental businesses are happening. Compliance requirements are becoming stricter. So I think every business should necessarily have a financial consultant to advise him and to ensure that they are compliant.
Okay, that's amazing. And what is the next service line that does well? So there's auditing, there's tax, there's finance consulting, then there's also bookkeeping. So what is the service? So if somebody wants to start their firm or their consulting, like what should they focus on? So in India, if you want to start a CA firm, you'll do audit. There is or assurance. So what's over here? So
No, in fact, it is. See, if you look at, say, I'll give you my own business example, Chantal.
yeah, yeah,
Revenues from auditing are in the range of, let's say, 40-45%. The differential 60-65% revenue come from consulting business. Now, what do we mean when we say consulting
yeah.
vis-a-vis auditing? Auditing is a mandatory or a statutory requirement where you get your books of accounts audited annually and submit to the relevant authorities to ensure that you're doing what is required to be done. When it comes to, say, for example, consulting, or I'll rather answer your question in a different way also. As a new consultant entrant in the UAE, for example, I wish to set up my business. Now, getting an auditing license and the procedure has changed for that also. It is again, extremely difficult to get an auditor's license in the UAE today. In fact, in the months and the year to come or so, we will see that there's going to be a lot of shake-up in the market in auditing business itself, where probably we'll see a lot of players moving out. The reason being that now we have an emeritus authority of auditing and accounting as a governing body here, and the government has made it mandatory that any practicing chartered accountant here should obtain a fellowship. If you're not already an FCA or a fellow chartered accountant, you need to apply to this institute, prepare for the exams, write those exams, pass those exams, have the FCA. Otherwise, if you're already a practicing CA also here, then your name may be delisted from the approved auditors list. Now, that means that if there are lesser number of firms, then there is more of an opportunity for firms who are surviving these new requirements here. So that is one aspect. Now, with the UAE corporate tax coming in, I would say that yes, the opportunity for auditors would increase from say 40-45% to something like 60 to 65% or so. Plus, what do we have? As a financial consultant, and as I said, because of the compliance requirements increasing day by day, now we have to report to the authorities on something which is called as the economic substance regulations. Meaning again that the government just doesn't want someone to come to the UAE, set up an office, take a virtual office, have a visa, and have a holiday here.
Yeah.
You need to prove that you are actually in business.
Yeah.
Now there is a legal requirement where biannually, in fact, 6 months time, you file a notification, and based on your nature of business and a couple of other criteria and parameters, you need to even file an economic substance return or report end of the financial year. That is an opportunity for practicing consultants where you need not be an auditing firm. It's a huge opportunity there. Number two is in terms of the way our government is clamping down on the money laundering aspect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, the laws are extremely, extremely strict here, where there are inspections being conducted regularly, in fact, on business which are defined as designated non-banking finance companies, which includes auditors, includes jewelry business, includes real estate, etc. That again is a compliance requirement, mandatory requirement, where consultants can play a huge role. And now, again, coming to who are the ultimate beneficial owners of your business, there is a reporting requirement to be done at least once a year, or and report to the government if there's any change in who the ultimate beneficial owner of your business is. Meaning that the government is particular that your business entity or the structure of your organization is absolutely transparent. Now, I assume if I'm a businessman, I'm into trading business, or if I'm into any nature of business, I would be more concerned about running my day-to-day operations. I would not really know as to how exactly to report on economic substances or on UBA requirements or how to really comply with the anti-money laundering requirements of the government of UAE. That is where consultants can play a huge role,
Okay.
which will benefit the businesses, number one, and it will also benefit and strengthen the government of the country.
Okay. Okay. That's amazing. That's some great insights. All of you watching, if you have any questions, please type in. I mean, it's a great chance to ask Dinesh. He's been here since the 2000, and I mean, I've heard a lot about your work, honestly. Cool.
Thank you.
So, Dinesh, I also want to understand, like, how did you set up your, how the initial year starting off, and now with, with UAE in the limelight, business is growing. How has the firm evolved, and what next? How are you looking at growing up your organization?
Yeah, in fact, as most businesses face initial hiccups, etc., Chantal is just something which quantum auditing also faced
Yeah,
in the initial years.
yeah,
And then, when an opportunity was there in terms of providing services to free zone businesses as such, we capitalized on those opportunities. And then the VAT law was announced in 2017, became effective on the 1st of January 2018. That was an opportunity, or rather a new opportunity for us. So we are listed auditors or approved auditors again with every free zone across the UAE. So we have clients where we do the annual audit and assurance compliances every year, and also do or help them conduct a VAT periodic audit on a quarterly basis and help them file their VAT returns on a quarter-on-quarter basis. That is number two. This opportunity was not there. This is how the firm evolved, in fact. We didn't have this opportunity way back in 2011, 12, 13 or so. It happened in 2017. Now, when VAT was introduced in this part of the world, in the GCC, let's say along with Saudi Arabia, for example, Kingdom of Bahrain also introduced sometime in the year 2019. The immediate strategic decision for us was to expand our presence from being in UAE to other GCC countries.
yeah.
So we set up a branch of our company, the Dubai-based quantum auditing in Bahrain. Excuse me. So there again, VAT being a compliance requirement, auditing is mandatory in Bahrain for every business, literally every business. In fact, unlike there's no differentiation like mainland or non-mainland as such in Bahrain. That's a huge opportunity, or was an opportunity for us. We expanded into Bahrain in 2019, and 2020 also we got our license. In fact, because the opportunities increase, the operations in Bahrain for quantum auditing have been able to match the revenues of quantum, or rather, which quantum achieved over say 6, 7, 8 years or so. Bahrain has been able to manage in just 2 years.
Wow.
That is how the market is evolved. That is the requirement of professions like us, and that's where you provide your services and you grow your business. And again, on this note, Chantal, the government of Bahrain has taken a decision, it has to be formalized, I suppose, very soon now, that they are going to be imposing corporate tax similar to how we have in the UAE. The rates could be higher or lower, we don't know. But if you look at the VAT rates in Bahrain, though UAE is operating at 5%, Bahrain is at 10%. KSA happens to be at 15%. So it's all about compliance requirements. And if I know how to comply as a business, approaching, for example, a trustworthy financial consultant, be it an auditor or be it a plain simple financial consultant specializing in taxes, for example, opportunities are huge.
Amazing. So the opportunities are huge in the UAE as well as Bahrain. Many people don't consider Bahrain, but you're saying they should even look at that. Or since it's a
I would
very small
say,
place.
yeah, 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 I would say UAE, Bahrain, Oman, and Saudi Arabia. These are the GCC countries one should look at if you have the bandwidth. If you were to ask me why am I not in KSA, well,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't really have that kind of bandwidth to have to manage multiple locations. I may say that I'm actually happy with these two jurisdictions as of now. Maybe next year we'll see something in terms of expanding to, like for example, Oman or KSA also.
Okay. So when you talk about expansion, you need an office there. It's a very expanding overseas is an expensive process. You need office, you need team, you need a lot of upfront. So do you collaborate with others who are already, say, maybe in India, a large organization who wants to move here, a large firm? How does it work? Are you considering something of those aspects?
Are you asking me if I would help someone to establish their presence here?
No, I mean, if you are already here, would you collaborate, say, with a CA firm in India who has the money investment? Like, I'm just trying to ask you, like, how does this exactly happen? Because there are people who want to expand and they don't have the knowledge base and they don't have the license and they don't have the GCC experience, and you already have it. So, is there a collaboration chance or a collaboration that can happen with you or with someone like you?
See, any new region, for that matter, Chantal, would throw up new challenges.
Yeah,
Now, I may say I'm a chartered accountant, say from India, but then when I landed in the UAE, I had to start learning again from the scratch
yeah,
about how the law works in a particular region. For example, the laws, the way they work in the UAE, are slightly different from the way they work in Bahrain, for example. So I'm sure it would be a bit different as far as the KSA formalities extra are concerned. Would
yeah,
I encourage someone to set up their offices
yeah,
here as a financial consultant? That is the question, for example. As I said, yeah, opportunities are huge, but there are a lot of players already operating in this market. This happened, or rather, the influx from consulting firms from India primarily to the UAE happened in 2017 and 18 when VAT was introduced,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Now, the question is, do you have it in you to survive? Why? Because if there are established firms already in the market, this business, this profession runs purely on faith and trust. If the client has faith and trust in you, he will work with you and he will appoint you as an auditor or financial consultant. If you are looking at giving a one-time advice to someone, then that will never work. You have to think in terms of long term. Now that is number one. Two is, how do you really want to position yourself in the market? Why should one come to a new entrant in the market vis-a-vis say an established player or players in the market? That again depends on your business strategy or marketing strategy as such. I would advise any of the prospective consulting firms who are wanting to come to this part of the world to do their arithmetic first. Have a minimum of 6 months to 1 year of working capital, assuming that they may not really strike big clients. That is very important. Two, in terms of manpower or workforce, we need people who have the competence to understand or migrate from law to law between jurisdictions. There, I have seen that yeah, one can claim I'm a qualified professional from my country. That doesn't
yeah,
really work.
yeah,
Laws would be different, The interpretations would be different, applicability would be different, and how you go about it is also going to be different. It's not a difficult proposition, but one needs to take that up very, very seriously too. And see, getting from zero to one is the most difficult proposition in terms of my own experience. As you may be trying to get a client, for example, or when your revenues are zero, but you want to move from zero to one, that period or that transition period is the toughest. Once you are there, going from 1 to 10 is not really a very big deal. Reason also for that is particularly in the professional services companies like ours, most new businesses happen courtesy references only. One happy client will give you one more and he will give you 10 more. That's how it works. It's like he's there, don't worry. It will take time for any new consulting firm to establish themselves as a successful operation in this part of the world. That is a sincere advice from my side. If you are in a mad rush thinking, oh, there's a UAE CT also, VAT is there, and etc., it doesn't work like that. You may want to succeed faster. You might want to move very fast. The environment here would not allow you to succeed at the rate at which you may want to be successful.
Okay, okay. So how can this, see, India has great talent, okay, and UAE GCC is growing. There is opportunity, right? So how could this marriage happen? Like, what? How? A lot of people connect with me and say, hey, you know what? I'm looking at connecting with certain people in the UAE, and can you help me connect with them? So they have talent, they've got the expertise. In India everybody is just chasing deadlines, right? It's just deadlines after deadlines. They're not able to do anything beyond that, right?
Like,
But they can serve clients here in a different way. So how could this marriage happen? Like, what do you see? You're also a partner with a CA firm in India recently, right, in Hyderabad. So if you could elaborate a little bit on that as well and share some insights.
yeah, I will.
Yeah,
You see, what happens usually, Chantal, is assume that I'm a practicing firm in India, for example.
yeah,
I have a talent pool and I have, all infrastructure in place.
yeah,
And I would believe that it may not take much time for me to understand the laws and the process procedures,
yeah,
etc. Say in KSA or UAE for that matter.
yeah,
They would say that I am in a position to execute assignments for
yeah,
your clients who are based out of the UAE, for example. So we do get a lot of proposals saying, please outsource your work to us. That is one business model which may work for certain practitioners or tax consultants in India, for example. If they are able to match the expectations of their premier partner or the principal partner sitting in the UAE and are able to execute the way it is required to be executed in this part of the world according to our laws here. That is one, and of
yeah.
course, meaning if I decide to outsource, then I'll have to look at my own costing also. If I'm not able to save on my costs, I will not outsource. I'll rather have my own staff executive. Plus, if I have my own staff, I have more control. I have direct control over my work, quality of work, I should say. Else, I'm reliant on someone, and if I'm going to be investing more time in making corrections, it will not make sense to me. So my team, if I'm sitting in India, it has to be absolutely competent as a person who's an established practitioner in this part of the world. That is one option where I'm sure a lot of firms are exploring the opportunities of tying up with, say, firms like quantum auditing, and they might execute from India. That is one option. Two is when someone might want to have a physical presence here in this part of the world in the GCC, they set up their consulting firm here. I'm saying consulting firm, not auditing, because getting an auditor's license today is kind of very difficult. If you're lucky, you will get, or you probably tie up with an already established CA practicing firm, and
Yeah.
converge your competencies. That is point number two. My partnership with Commandor and Company in India since the last 1.5 2 years or so is are actually for two reasons. One is for a personal reason because India is my country and I love my country. I always wanted to have a continued presence in India.
Yeah.
Commandor and Company is one of the fastest growing firms in India. In fact, it is ranked at in the state of Andhra Pradesh, in Telangana rather, it is ranked number one. And all over India, I think it is in the position of some 40 or 41, if I'm not mistaken. Commandor and Company has a presence in India across every metro and every tier one and tier two city. Where there are around 25 locations in India. Our next location could be Jammu and Kashmir, in fact, which might happen this year itself. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because there is so much of an opportunity in India, in fact. India's story has never been this good earlier. While saying that, meaning again, my firm, Commandor and Company Chartered Accountant in India, would focus on expanding and capitalizing on the opportunities we have across India, in fact. Then I, as a partner in Commandor, and I, as a partner in Quantum Auditing here, these two firms will supplement and complement each other. Now, there is a lot of requirement of, for example, FDIs or investments in India, for example. Quantum would play a huge role in identifying those investors from this part of the world, not necessarily limited to GCC itself, across this, by having a centralized office in Dubai, for example, and help the government of India to have or rather meet their FDI targets which they wish to meet. Number one. Two is Commander and Company, or at least my firm I would speak about is, I mean, we have around 48 to 50 partners across India. We have 250 workforce of the qualified, semi-qualified accountants put together who work for us. Talent pool is immense. Capability is absolutely amazing, in fact. So if I have a business, or suppose I'm a sourcing business in the UAE as quantum auditing, and I have business to execute in terms of, say, consulting in the areas of anything, including project financing, or anything under the umbrella of financial services, keeping aside the auditing part of it. You know,
Yeah.
that is a huge opportunity for every firm like Commandor also in India. I mean, as I said, we complement each other. So I need Commandor for my business in India. Commandor and company would work with quantum auditing to execute what I would source in from this part of the world. So that makes an amazing win-win situation for the both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. This is great. So, I would like to know, like, we were talking about outsourcing, outsourcing, or probably the person in the region sources the business and it can be, collaborated with a firm in India who can execute it exceptionally well, right? So, can you give a list of services? You mentioned one is, of course, bookkeeping, accounting, that's always there. But then there is project finance you mentioned. So, what is a list of services which somebody over here can source and it can be delivered in India? Can you give us a list?
As you rightly said, Chantal, accounting and bookkeeping is something which is the easiest.
Yeah,
The difference would be assume that somebody in India would be accustomed to working on a particular software, within the country, for example, or catering to their clients in India, but the software being used by a prospective client
yeah,
in the UAE, or let's assume in the UK, or let's assume US for that matter. They would be working on softwares which are like, for example, QuickBooks or Sage or SAP or such similar software. It is as easy as, for example, an outsourcing firm looking at doing business of this sort. It's as easy as getting accustomed to how a particular software works. The fundamentals, basically, the substance remains the same.
yeah.
It's how you customize a particular software and how can you utilize a
Correct.
software vis-a-vis B software. So it's pretty easy. The
Yeah,
question again comes back to how will you source your clients for outsourcing. Let's talk about accounting and bookkeeping itself. Now, the more the number of players in the market, the more competitive it would be, and then that's where you have to look at how you are positioning yourself in terms of fees. So, for outsourcing business today in the market, there are certain firms which are outsourcing to India at a cost of, I understand, in the range of US dollars 10 per hour. There are certain firms which are doing at the rate of $14 to $16 per hour. More complex matters beyond just bookkeeping, as you management accounting reports and all, the rate can go up to $25 per hour also. Which, if you translate in Indian currency, it's good money. If you are competent, if you are able to execute in a timely fashion because of the time zone differences also, it's a huge opportunity, definitely. Now that anybody can do.
yeah. Correct.
It's not like one
Yeah,
major thing in life. You
yeah,
should know how to execute, and you can execute.
yeah.
This one, keeping in
But
mind,
it's
yeah,
but it's a
please.
big opportunity. It's a big
It's
opportunity
definitely a huge opportunity.
in the
Now,
Middle East.
not just in the Middle East, across. See, if I set up an outsourcing firm, let's assume in India today, I can
Yeah,
source business for bookkeeping and accounting from the Middle East. I can source from UK, US also.
fair enough.
And it's not like, we're talking about anything new at all. There are a lot of firms which are already doing it, who have been
Yeah,
established for a period of more than 10 years or so in India, doing
yeah,
extremely well.
yeah,
Question again would be as to how would you tap your clients and why should someone work with you, not with somebody else?
yeah. My question
Again,
is the opportunity for bookkeeping outsourcing services huge also in the GCC region? We know it's big in the US, it's big in the UK, yes, but also in the GCC or so UAE. Is it expanding? It's growing bigger. Uh, and if yes, why?
Answer is yes and no, both in fact, Chantal. Yeah, see, in terms if your operations are large in the UAE, and you just may not need one accountant, for example, but you need an accounts assistant, then a financial controller, a finance manager, and a CFO. Then the cost for these organizations or bigger organizations in this part of the world, like anywhere else, would be huge.
Yeah.
If I want to cut down on those costs and rather have an outsourced CFO, for example, or an outsourced financial controller, but I'll have my data entry guy sitting here and doing the work. I'll be able to minimize on my staff cost, and at the same time, end of the day, have what I need to have on my table as a business owner.
Yeah.
So again, depends on how many businesses would be comfortable in outsourcing, because the matter is also of sharing confidential information, security of the data, etc. All such things put together. There is business now. If I were to draw an example between UAE and Bahrain, in Bahrain, it is more prevalent that even small businesses, they are outsourcing their accounting and bookkeeping to firms like an accounting firm. UAE is a bit different. UAE is more like closed kind of a structure where we have in-house finance professionals working. Compared to to Bahrain, it is lesser here. But Bahrain, the opportunity for outsourcing is huge,
Wow.
accounting and bookkeeping. But if you're again talking about firms looking at doing something more, something bigger, then there are opportunities definitely in the areas of business valuations, in the areas of advising on mergers and acquisitions, etc., in the areas of identifying prospective investors, whether they be based any part of the world, and there are a lot of investors in India who are looking at investing abroad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where if you have this kind of a competency where you can look at a particular business, do their valuation, do the extrapolation of their finance for the next 5-10 years or so, arrive at the best business value which a business can command, and then look at investors, close a deal. That is where the actual core of the next level of accounting
Yeah.
lies, I should say. Yes.
Yeah. No, this is excellent information. Yeah.
So
Please add
again,
on.
so when I will say, for example, Chantal, Commando and company in India, they are in Bombay, they are in Pune, they are in Bangalore, they are in Chennai, they will be in Kashmir very soon. Now, when you have spread your presence across, then you know the pulse of the region. You know who is looking at what, who needs just purely auditing services itself, who's a prospective investor, what is his appetite, where does he want to really invest, what does he want to do, and when he will approach Commodore and company in India, for example, we have all the answers for them. So that is one area where I think every finance professional, besides auditing, should rather look at these opportunities and expand rather than looking at just being an auditor, signing balance sheets and all that. That is my sincere advice.
Amazing. Amazing. Cool. So you're saying, talking about the UAE, you're saying that if there is a CA firm in India and most of them are looking at being here, but it's not so easy. So they could probably, just for instance, collaborate with, say, a company like yours, where you could source the clients. And there's a lot of need over here, of course, for accounting, bookkeeping, which is anyways outsourced. Okay, but for business valuation, project financing, foreign investment, so these are the kind of valuation and
Yeah,
CFO services. So these are the kind of services which the team in India could execute, and this opportunity is growing and rising. There's a real need.
it is growing exponentially. In fact, Chantal, if you see the new business coming up, see every country has their own norms. If you were to be doing business in that particular country,
Yeah.
KSA says that if you were to be working or generating revenues, and if you are a multinational, you need to have your headquarters in KSA also. There are certain terms and conditions which have been recently diluted a bit. Fine, but so business economies across the regions are growing. The more economies are growing, there is more money or cash floating in the market. There is more of an investment opportunity available for every investor today. And that is where one would necessarily need the services of a professional as an advisor as to how best to maximize the wealth. Opportunities are huge.
Okay. Okay. So sorry, you were saying something.
No, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, we have this question from Rahul. He says, "Do you outsource few works to India? I mean, like, do you?"
No, if it's a question at quantum auditing, I would not really say I'll outsource because I have my own firm in India also. So my firm does we collaborate with my India part, with my India staff
Yeah.
to execute. I personally, quantum auditing will not outsource to a third party as of today. I have
Okay.
my firm in India. These firms work together. The Dubai firm and the India firm work together.
Okay. Okay. But if there are other firms who want to collaborate with you, say for instance, they are looking at collaborating with you. So are you open at meeting them? You or like, I'm just asking you. Is
Yeah,
because
see, I don't
yeah,
want to be negative on this question at all. And
yeah, yeah,
Quantum may not do, and Quantum is not the only auditing firm or an accounting firm in this part of the world. There are a lot of larger firms, in fact, firms who have been here for a period longer than Quantum, who are who have a bigger share of the market today. It's possible that they may or they may not be able to be today manage the workflow that they have. So rather than answering as quantum auditing, I would say that most of the chartered accountancy firms in this part of the world would certainly look at outsourcing a part of the work at least to trustworthy professionals back in India. Now, these firms have an option. These firms have an option to set up a back office kind of a entity in India, for example, not necessarily an auditing firm. But I
yeah.
will take the best of accountants, I'll take the best of management consultants as such. And they will execute the task that I have to do if I'm a big four or a big 10, etc. put together back to India. Or again, if I'm doing my cost trade off as such, then I may say I will not set up my office in India at all. I'll work with XYZ, like Rahul asked just now. I would rather love to work with him, provided he is in line and in sync with the legal requirements, etc., of this part of the world as to what needs to be done, whether it's bookkeeping, accounting, let's say Tally versus Sage versus QuickBooks versus blah blah.
Okay.
End of the day, your client must be delivered with what he deserves in the highest professional manner.
Okay.
How we do it is our responsibility.
And it could be same for valuation, and it'll be the same for consulting services. So
Certainly, yes. Yeah.
okay. I know I asked you this earlier, but I have got two more questions for you. How is the GCC market, over the years, how has it evolved? If you could just give a little bit on the macroeconomic factors that has impacted its growth, okay? And what potential do you envision? Is it going to be, I'm sure it is sustainable because they have a plan in place, right? So from your experience, whatever you want to share.
Markets are evolving as we said. This region is poised to grow at rates unheard of before. That is for sure. If you look at UAE predictions also and the budgets also for that matter, I don't think the government ever really spoke about 5+percentage of growth year on year basis, which is going to happen starting to 2024. We can say the same or maybe a bit more about KSA because of the way the country is growing, opportunities which is presenting to investors, to practitioners, etc., is huge. Now, how the more important is how the markets have evolved over a period of years. Now, like if you look at last 10 years, it was not the same. In fact, the growth started happening sometime around 2005, 2006. If you look at UAE, Dubai, for example, you see the fruits of that particular labor today. The way the government has set up its policies, the way the government has opened up its economy, where it is not necessarily mandatory today that you need to have 100% UAE national also as your shareholder, even if you're not in a free zone. That means it is giving you a lot of independence to set up your business and operate from this part of the world. Every new business, I believe, should contribute to itself, should contribute to the growth of the nation, should contribute to the GDP of the country. Now, SMEs in UAE, and as in many regions for that matter, 90% plus entities operating in the UAE are SMEs. Their contribution to the country's GDP is more than 60%, which is again huge. Countries, rather, the region is evolving. There is a growth in the competency levels of people also who are operating from here, be it nationals or be it foreigners or expatriates who are working here. Expectations are on the rise. It is not like everything is fine. It is not. Everyone is thriving to be the best in their own field. So
Yeah.
that is where, for example, if I want to be the best, assume that if I'm not very good at, let's say, a business valuation exercise, I would seek the help of a professional who probably knows or that has done more work than me. So when the markets are growing, when the business are growing, etc., then there is more. There's an opportunity for everyone. There's a give and take.
Yeah.
For a business to survive and do well, it probably will need the help of a professional. But the professionals to do well, they will obviously need more such businesses to come to them to seek help. So what the situation was, say, 8, 10 years back or so, is a bit different today. Be it KSA, be it UAE for that matter. Bahrain is next in line. Oman is doing very well. Qatar is again doing very well, though there is no VAT in Qatar as of date. Opportunities are huge. So as I said again, you need to do your mathematics, arithmetic, do your calculations for cost. Look at how long will you be able to survive if things were not going to go well as you envisage. After a period of time, if you give yourself say, a year or so exploring the market and trying to reach out to clients and have them as clients to your new clients to your book as such, then future would be good. Fine. Initially, you will have to work hard.
Okay,
How do you
amazing.
position yourself? Again, see, I am repeating myself. I know you have to
Yeah,
create it for yourself. Why should one go to you rather than anybody else? So that is the most important question which a business owner, a professional must answer as to
yep,
what he can do. The
yep.
professionalism, etc., to timeliness, and to ensure that he is actually delivering what is expected. So, and maybe like I maybe not be sounding very positive or something in terms of, for example, advising new businesses to come really set up their business here or so. I'm not saying no, but what I'm saying is only that don't be in a rush, don't be in a hurry to be successful. You're competent, you know your you know professional capabilities as such. Do make an attempt, or if you were to be doing your calculations and mathematics as such, you collaborate with someone who's already here. I will do my own math. I'll collaborate with someone who's sitting in India. So again, they are gaining and I am gaining for that matter. Just because there is UAE VAT and there is which happened in 2017 and 18, a lot of consulting firms came. They set up as freelancers here. They ran away in 6 months back to India, creating a very bad name for professionals primarily in this,
Yep.
in this. Now today we say UAE corporate tax, everybody wants to come here. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that at all. So I have often repeated, mentioned this that professionals in accounting, for that matter, financial consultants, auditors, etc., are like financial doctors. And again, then there are good doctors and there are bad doctors. So, if I run into a bad doctor, then I'll have to run for a second opinion to someone. We should try as professionals to avoid that kind of a situation and be the best in our field. So yes, my concluding remarks in terms of whether I should foray into UAE and shall I make an attempt there, more than welcome. But give yourself time. Don't come with a team of 10. Have a team of one or two initially. Get your first business first, let it multiply to four, and then grow your team.
Fair enough. That's a great point. So start an office over here with a team of one, two, and eventually grow. Don't think that if you come with have a higher team, you'll get a lot of business. It takes time. It's a place of trust and relationship. It's very relationship driven.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were actually spot on. Nothing was negative. It was great advice, to be very honest. Okay, so these are the do's and don'ts. Okay, what's the kind of hiring? So we spoke a lot about people collaborating and a lot of opportunities, but what about those who are seeking, who are looking for opportunities, say in SMEs in the finance team or firms, small size firms. I'm not talking about the big fours and the others. So what is there a lot of hiring? Do you see a lot of hiring, a need for great finance, audit, tax talent?
See, on an average, Chantal, in my own inbox, I have nothing less than 50 applications every day. These are the people who are desirous of working, say, in this part of the world, be it Bahrain or anywhere in the GCC.
Yeah.
Now, the rejection rate of those CVs, I'm talking about quantum, I'm talking about myself only, right? I'm not making a general comment on anybody else.
Yeah.
Most of them do not get to the next level of, okay, let's even open the email and have a look at the CV.
Yeah.
So my advice here would be that if suppose I'm a professional, I'm a semi-qualified CA or a fully qualified CA with experience, without experience, the sincere advice to everyone who's looking out for a job in this part of the world or in a region which is different from their own home country for that matter. Please do not approach a prospective employer saying, I'm a CA, so I need a job. You see in the CVs, worked as
Yeah, that happens.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
No, you're not even mentioning whether your firm is based in, say, for example, in Mumbai or Pune or Bangalore or Hyderabad or a tier
Yeah.
two city, etc. It will help me understand the profile of the candidate who's looking for a job. They will not mention. Two is I am also a CA. You may be a CA in your country. I told this to my own self. In fact. I may be a CA in my country. But when I entered this particular country, I had to relearn everything. In fact, important is for job seekers. Are there opportunities? Huge. Is everyone hiring? Most of us are hiring. We are looking at quality stuff. Now, what do I mean, or rather, how should one up himself to be considered in this part of the world? Answer is pretty simple, in fact. The prospective candidate must necessarily go through all the laws which are regularly or mostly in use. Let's say what? UAE labor law, UAE commercial companies law. Now we have UAE VAT. Then you have UAE commercial corporate taxes law for that matter. For a qualified or a semi-qualified CA who has particularly gone through this the training program by the ICAI during the course of the career, it's not difficult for them to grasp subject.
Yep.
Laws may be slightly, intricate here, more intricate back home, etc. put together. But if you put one plus one together and if it's adding up to two is what you need to do as to how the laws in the country where I want to work are different
Yeah.
versus where I'm really working and where I'm comfortable. Please come out of that comfort zone. Don't say I'm a CA, so can I have an interview with you? In your
Yeah.
cover letter, please mention that I'm aware of how the law functions here.
Yeah.
Do your homework. Be
Yeah.
prepared so that your prospective employer knows that you are going to be a value addition to my team. I will
Yeah.
have to please spend lesser amount of time in training you and bringing you up to speed in terms
Fair
of how
enough.
the how the law works here. Kind of. Let me mention this, Randall. A CA is not a CA across the globe. His competencies, his exposure varies. I mean, I may have more exposure in India as a CA there, but if I do not know how the law works in the UAE, then what am I worth in the UAE for that matter?
Yeah.
So it is important for a person to or a candidate to do his homework or her homework, go through the laws. How does VAT work? How does vis-a-vis, for example, India GST? How does UAE corporate tax law works vis-a-vis direct taxes in India for that matter? What exemptions do I have? What is taxable? What is not allowed, etc.
Okay.
UAE commercial companies law and UAE labor law, for example. So these are the things which any accountant or a finance controller, etc.,
Yeah.
in the UAE while working for a company here has to put in practice.
Fair enough.
Put in practice, please do your homework before you even go for the interview.
Fair
That
enough.
way, you stand a better chance to get absorbed, and you will take lesser amount of time to establish yourself as a permanent player in
Yeah.
your new organization here.
Okay, fair enough. I think a lot of people have sent you a lot of these CVs, so you had to say this. So you've been through a lot, I guess. But fair enough, great points. I have just 2 points. If you could just keep it under like one minute. What are the opportunities in Oman? Like you mentioned that there's a lot of opportunities in Oman. What is it in Oman?
I have personally not explored Central. As
Yeah,
I said, I have limited bandwidth myself. But
yeah,
opportunities in Oman would be similar to what we have in Bahrain today, I believe. Because again, there you have strict enforcement of laws in terms of your annual audit reports. And then there is VAT. I'm not sure about corporate tax in Oman as of now. But vis-a-vis Oman, I would say if somebody really wants to explore as a professional practitioner or as an employee, Saudi Arabia probably will make more of sense in terms of the size of the market and opportunities in KSA today vis-a-vis Oman. Oman is comparatively smaller. KSA again vis-a-vis Bahrain, I would still recommend Saudi Arabia itself. But
yeah,
any of these countries, I will not name many negative countries where I may not want to be. But these
yeah.
countries which I have named earlier, there is an opportunity for everyone there.
There is an
Now again,
opportunity.
as look again as a businessman or as a professional owning a business and wanting to come here, there is a cost associated. What is the cost of doing business in Dubai versus Bahrain versus Oman, for example? So
Yeah,
let me mention to you, the cost of doing business in Bahrain is higher than what it is for me personally in UAE. But the cost of living for executives working for Quantum in Bahrain is lower. In Dubai, the cost of living is much higher. Cost of doing business may be a bit lower. So you
yeah,
have to take into factor all these things. And as I said, if you want to be in this profession as a practitioner, be prepared for with at least a year's working capital with you and be patient again. As an employee, if you were to get an opportunity in the UAE or Bahrain or Oman or KSA, if I am a prospective employee, I would grab wherever I would get an opportunity. Opportunities
Amazing.
are the platform would be the same, I would say. The
Okay.
requirement again in terms of how competent I should be will not vary region to region as far as these regions are concerned, these countries are concerned.
Amazing. So well explained. Dinesh, I have this one question for you. So if you talk about cost of starting in the UAE, okay. So if I want to start in the UAE, okay, what is the approximate, like, how much of money should one have? What is the budget should I know it will vary, but a benchmark?
See, in terms of initial setup cost itself, Santa, if I'm setting up a professional consulting firm, see, there are a lot of factors. The certain questions cannot really be, answered like without considering a few other factors. For example, I want to set up a financial consulting firm in UAE. I would say I will not say Dubai. When somebody who's an advisor to them would say, "Oh, please set up in Sharjah free zone, or Aswan free zone, or Fujairah free zone, or a DMCC, example in
Yeah.
Dubai, or not in DMCC, but let's say in Ifza or Medan free zone, etc." The cost varies. Every free zone, the more the free zone is of repute, the higher is the. If you keep aside DIFC, DMCC, I suppose, is the most expensive today, followed by Ifza and Medan, for example. Cost is much lower in Sharjah free zone and Ajman free zone, for example. So, say an average cost, if I take the annual licensing cost or initial setup cost in the first year, in IFZA or Medan would cost me approximately all put together, including my initial visa, Emirates ID, etc., put together, would cost me in the range of 20 to 25,000 dirhams. The same cost comes down to in the range of 5,000 to 8,000 bucks in Sharjah or in Ajman for that matter. But keeping in mind the kind of work that I'm wanting to do as a professional, personally for me, branding is very important. Oh, he has a consulting firm in a free zone somewhere in X Emirate. Vis-a-vis, why Emirate makes a lot of difference in terms of the client's perception. As I said, client perception is very important. He trusts you, he has faith in you, he values you, he'll give business to you. If you're operating from like a virtual office sitting in a corner, wanting to present yourself as a professional, then it may not really work. So somebody just wants to have a presence, I'll try out, I'll take a X free zone license at only 5-7,000 per year or so. Try out. Versus a branded presence where you are actually presenting yourself as a person who is serious about his own business.
Yeah.
I'm not running down any emirate, I'm not running down any free zone at all. But with whom are you dealing? See, setting up of a company would take maximum 2 days to 3 days these days. The challenges start after that, after you've set up your business. So from where are you operating? How do you want to operate? How do you want to project yourself? Is very important. So again,
Yes.
if we were to leave this discretion and the choice to our clients as to wherever they may want to set up, I would tell them the least cost free zone, for example, would be so and so. Spend 5,000, 7,000, then you have your license, start working, and then you grow. Down the line tomorrow, you might want to shift from that particular free zone or rather have another branch, say in Dubai, for example,
Yeah.
a much expensive proposition.
Fair.
But be prepared for something in the range of 20 to 25,000 dirhams as the initial setup cost, all
Okay.
inclusive, your medicals and your visas, etc., all put together. That would be
Amazing.
subsequent years. You might spend in the range of 70-75% only of your initial cost, because again, visa would be valid for 2 years, etc. License renewal only annual basis, you have to spend 10, 12, 15,000 as the case may be.
Amazing.
Then certain free zones, or in fact, particularly mainland, require that you cannot have a virtual office. You must provide them with a lease agreement of a proper physical office, which will be inspected.
Yeah.
That is going to add to your cost.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
where do I want? I just want to be in the UAE. I have a license. I have a visa. I will work from home. I'll not say no to that. And as I said again, going back to my earlier advice, okay, work from home, have a virtual license, spend only 5,000 for your license. Get client number one, get client number 4, 5, 6, and then you expand. You'll get to a physical office.
Amazing. Cool. Dinesh, okay, so you really explained everything so well. Thank you so much. Uh, yeah, thanks a lot. So, Dinesh, I have this question for you. You started your entrepreneurial journey in 2008, 2009, right? So, would you advise others also to do the same, or you see a lot of great opportunities over here? So, what's your take? How would someone decide? Lastly, is like what next for Quantum? What are you looking at next? So. I'm wrapping it up after this question.
See, should one really start, I mean, rather venture out in this part of
Yeah.
the country? The answer is just definitely yes only. It will never be no, really. Now, I will give you a kind of a sad example. Sad example is there are qualified chartered accountants in India, assume who qualified sometime in, let's say, 4 5 years back or so, and they ventured into practice straight away in India. And I'm talking about, I will even name the regions also. These are primarily based in Ahmedabad and are also based in Mumbai.
Okay.
Now, I have CVs from these firm owners also looking for a job opportunity here, meaning they are willing to close their practice in India, relocate from India to a country like UAE, for example, and work here. There must be a reason for that. The reason being that you have not been able to reach out to your prospective clients and establish your value in their eyes to be able to get businesses. We have multiple firms operating in UAE, maybe in the range of 500 plus practicing firms today. India is huge, so they are running into lakhs. So you will run into competition wherever, everywhere for that matter. How do you beat it? Now, price undercutting is a huge issue here. It is an issue in India also for that matter. I'll give you another example. UAE corporate tax registrations have just commenced on the 1st of March this year.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of traction movement in the market. Your fine is 10,000 dirhams. That's what they start with. That's the
Yeah.
pitch. If you don't raise a fine is 10,000. Fine is 10,000 provided you do not do a few things in life. That is one. Now you don't scare me saying I have to pay 10,000 fine, but still the registration cost is very less. So for someone whom we know in the market, because we keep a close eye on our competition here,
Yeah.
99 dirhams only for your UACT registration. 99 dirhams.
Yeah.
You pay them 99, they register you on the portal of FTA.
Yeah.
Somebody else says 199, 199 dirhams for
Yeah.
registration.
I've
And I
seen that.
know you may have seen that. Now, there are a few firms who have mentioned 1,500 as the registration cost. So there's a huge difference. Now, what exactly is happening? So a client who's only looking at saving money by paying you 99 or 199 will not really go to, he's not looking at saving money. He's looking at being compliant. He's looking at being in safe hands. So these big firms, they must have a reason to say, sir, my fees is 1,500 for UACT registration. I'm very sure, Chantal, any of these such firms' clients who are quoting 1,500, including quantum auditing, our clients will not go anywhere. They will remain with us only for various reasons. So, should I venture? Don't venture into another part of the world just to venture.
Yeah.
Have a business plan, establish your professionalism, win the faith and the trust of your clients, make a name for yourself, have a moral code of conduct. I would say necessarily so. In fact, here in the UAE, because let me give you another fact of the matter. In India, chartered accountants practice particularly is governed by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India.
Yep.
Now, where ICAI had a few lapses during the course of last say 5 6 years or so, the
Yeah.
government imposed one more authority over ICAI to as an oversight,
Yeah.
which is your National Financial Reporting Authority, which keeps an eye
Yeah.
on ICAI itself.
Yeah.
We are governed there when we have to be extremely careful. Now,
Yeah.
here in the UAE, we do not have any such body which governs as to what we do. I mean, there is a law, there's an auditor's law, which writes basically what the law says wherever in part of the. But is there a mechanism to ensure that it is implemented, or are we really checking that this practicing so-called professionals are practicing that the moral code of conduct, ethics, integrity, etc.? It's not there. So, if you are a true professional, I would advise that you please impose this self-monitoring moral code of conduct on yourself. This
Yeah.
is very important in the long run if you want to really be successful and survive in the business. You want to be here, go back to your home country tomorrow is a different story altogether. So, coming to your question, should I venture? More than welcome. There is a huge opportunity. Have a business plan, decide as to how you wish to proceed. At the same time, don't experiment with your client or on your client. Be sure about what is expected of you as a professional. I mean, your client will not necessarily see as to whether you're a 5-year-old experienced guy or a 10-year or less than that. This is what is expected. What is expected by the client, what is expected by the government of the country. These two things. And as long as you remain ethical and committed to your profession, you will not fail. So I think everyone should make an attempt.
So well explained, really so well explained. So
Thank you.
Dinesh, any what next for quantum consulting auditing and any? I mean, you mentioned your closing remarks. So what next? What are you looking at?
See, yeah, this is quite interesting. In fact, Chantal, my association with my India firm, my home country, as I said, with Commodore and Company Charter, it is one of the best firms I have, or the best set of professionals I've met in my professional career in the recent past. My objective is to utilize our competencies that we have together. The competencies of quantum in UAE, the competencies of quantum in Bahrain, matched with and complemented and supplement with the competencies which my team has in India. And as I said, the market is so huge here. Besides the usual functions of auditing, we or quantum would want to certainly look at opportunities in the areas of mergers and acquisitions, more of business valuations, more of deals, structuring, etc. And not limit ourselves to a particular region. Now, I might have my head office, for example, or I'll say my headquarters is based in Dubai with my 25 offices in India, for example. We want to look at a client who is in need of our services across GCC and beyond.
Okay,
Like, let me share with you, Chantal, that we are in the process of setting up a financial consulting firm here. The firm has already been set up in India. We have named the firm as Commodore Quantum Financial Solutions. We will be setting up a subsidiary of that India-based company in Dubai in the month of March itself. So anything and everything that I can do under the umbrella of an auditing firm, quantum auditing will continue to do that.
amazing,
Anything which is beyond auditing, beyond the basic auditing, etc., or assurance services, we would want to explore the market under the umbrella of Quantum Commando Financial Solutions,
okay,
which includes varied services that we intend to provide. It includes jurisdictions which are beyond UAE, which are beyond GCC, in fact. And there is so much of traction and there is so much of movement already that we just spoken to a couple of guys across the UK and the US,
yeah,
and I think we probably will be finalizing a couple of deals by the end of the next 2 weeks or so max.
amazing,
Includes outsourcing also, for that matter, for your information. It includes outsourcing in terms of accounting. Let's say assume monthly accounting also. We have clients looking at those services from our side. We have clients looking at investors, UK-backed investors who have invested in Kingdom of Bahrain, looking at further funding of, let's say, $100 million or so. We are in talks with them. So our job would be to identify an investor with that kind of an appetite who would love to. We'll do our due diligences on the client, on the prospective investors, ensure that both are protected, be a part of the deal making and the transaction closure till it is closed. Excuse me, and ensure that the counterparties involved are comfortable. And we will
amazing.
also ensure our client that we are always there going forward also. Our objective is not like, there's a deal, close it, and then move on to the next deal. We want to ensure that we retain these clients for further assurances and advisory service from our side for a long, long time to come. So they should know, yes, somebody is there. So, as I said earlier, build that faith to demonstrate our competency, capability, why we are trustworthy, why should you trust. Like some of our biggest clients, Shantanu, let me share this with you. The biggest compliment, I'll tell you two biggest compliments I actually received from a couple of our clients in the UAE. One client said, every company must have a Dinesh on their board. That is number, which is a huge compliment. The second compliment is that Dinesh is always there. He's always reachable. We know what he brings to the table. Now, that is again very, very important. Meaning, it's not like even if I'm busy, I may be as a professional, as a practitioner, I may be busy with 100 different clients. But my client is one. He has his issues. He has an issue on hand. I should be reachable to him. Come what may.
Yeah,
Take out time there for him and advise him as to what needs to be done. So he's assured that yes, he is there. If these are the principles on which I have worked, Chantal, over the last 10, 11 years or so, and I have not really failed in terms of ensuring that my clients would continue to remain in love with me and continue with me forever. In the process, assume that you lose a few because of the price undercutting or blah blah. It doesn't make a difference because people who really matter or clients who value you will remain with you. Again, I'll go back to 99, 199 versus 1,500. Our clients will remain with us. So
Amazing.
you need to create that position in the market. You need to have build that confidence with your clients.
Yeah.
Then you'll be decided. So accordingly, then I would say the platform or this country is open to everyone. In practice, it is used to be said earlier days, and you need at least 5 years before you gain traction and you will start becoming successful. I'm not saying 5 years because the markets are evolving and growing so fast. Give yourself 1 year's time. Be prepared with funding for yourself for a period of a year or so. Try out on a smaller basis with big plans. I'm not saying be a small player or a marginal player at all. Have big plans, but please ensure that your business funds itself. Don't rely on external borrowings from anyone, be it
Yeah.
family or short-term loan or a long-term loan. It's why have that tension also on your head when you are very busy in trying to get new time. Work
Yeah.
with your own. Have a smaller operation initially, then grow exponentially after that. That is what I believe.
Amazing. Amazing. Dinesh, I mean, this has really been a very valuable conversation and you've really shared everything. So thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Perhaps,
And
Chantal, I may have been a bit more honest and blunt than not really dramatic, but I've been honest because I do care.
yeah,
It takes a lot of effort for a professional to reach a stage where he's like totally qualified and looking at various options, which one should necessarily do. At the same time, be open to the pitfalls as
yeah,
to what may go wrong. Like they say, the wise man should know when to be afraid. So be cautious.
that's
One will not fail. It's just about timing and as to how you want to go about
amazing. That's amazing. I have this question which I just take. They just, can I take this question? It's almost an hour. You sure?
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
this question is how do you approach clients over here? Like how, like what is this? How is the clients over here? How should one approach them? Do you have to know them, or it has to be via somebody? What's your take on that?
So let's assume I don't know anyone here at all.
Yeah,
Then I should not do business here. Meaning, again, I'm coming back to that 0 to 1
yeah,
fundamental that I mentioned to you earlier. Look, for an auditing firm, a practicing audit firm, advertising, marketing yourself, reaching out, soliciting customers, etc., is all prohibited by law globally. So
yeah,
you cannot advertise yourself. I'm the best auditor in town. My
yeah,
fees is 99 versus 199. I cannot do all that. It happens in UAE, but I would not do it ever. Meaning, I'll
yeah,
not advertise myself.
yeah,
So try to get your first point, deliver what is expected by him, request him to put in a word for you. I'm sure a businessman would know at least 10 more businessmen across.
yeah,
Out of those 10, he gives you 2 or 3 initially. It will grow to all the 5 to 10 within more time. That is number one, of course. Meaning good client will get you more business. That's how our business has grown over the years.
yeah,
Number two, if you want to set your curtains and just say that, yes, I do have a business presence here and I'm looking for not come to you. You will have to go get your business. And how you do it is make yourself visible, definitely not by advertising, marketing, etc., but ensuring that you are a part of a good network, for example, a network of professionals. And there are a lot of platforms here. There
yeah,
are platforms which promote small businesses, for example, and there are platforms like, allow me to name one. For example, BNI is a great networking platform
yeah,
where you get to meet different, natures of businesses for that matter. You have an
yeah,
opportunity here also to be visible in the market, reach out to people, express yourself, lend your ears to hear what they want from you, rather than talking about I'm quantum auditing, I'm here for 20 years, and this is what I do. Here, listen what they want. Then you make your proposition. They will work with you, but reach out. The more people you reach out to, suppose your strike rate is even 10% for that matter, which I would still say is a good strike rate. You talk to 100, you might get 10 clients. Make a beginning, 10 will grow to 100 also in no time.
amazing. Amazing. This is some amazing advice, and you've put it out so well. Dinesh, thank you so much for the time. Thanks a lot. And more success to you at Quantum Auditing
Thank
Consulting.
you.
And thank you
One
so much.
advice again, Chantal, on your last question, I would say I would advise professionals particularly not to join the bandwagon. WhatsApp marketing, and then again, which is actually very shameful. What I'm saying is, dear sir, do you need sign and stamp audit report? Meaning they will not do the audit. They will
Oh,
sign
God.
and they will stamp, which reports are being accepted also by whoever. Never relegate yourself or your profession, or maintain the dignity. Do whatever you need to do in a manner which will not bring down your own self-respect. Is my most sincere advice. Sign and
Yeah.
stamp auditors, they will never survive. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
On a positive note, again, Chantal, here is, as I said, if you don't want to be or try for an auditor's license as such, financial consulting, for example, assume that you have a license for management consulting, for example, ask, and you can actually add 3 activities from a particular group. And this is my advice to people who are wanting to have a presence here in the consulting space, not in the practice space. There is a lot of work in consulting space vis-a-vis auditing space. I am repeating myself there also. Ask for a license for management consulting, which will include tax preparation, tax planning, etc. There's a defined activity for that also. There's one more activity which says bookkeeping and accounting, etc. Take these three. Take your. Add these 3 activities in your license. More of an opportunity for you to be successful in the consulting space. Try that in a professional way, ethically, diligently. You will not. Nobody will go wrong. Over
Okay.
a period of time, anybody and everybody should be successful. That is my sincere advice.
Yep. Perfect. So well explained. Thank you again, Dinesh. Thanks a lot. And thank you everyone who's watching in. If you want to connect with Dinesh, he's very active on LinkedIn. Please do connect with him, or you could, comment and we could connect with him, whatever works. So thank you everyone for watching. Dinesh, thank you so much for your time. Means a
Yes,
lot,
my
and
pleasure.
it was a great learning. I
Thank
mean
you
it.
very much, Anil. It was my pleasure, and I hope to be talking to you soon again and
Thank
be
you.
of help wherever I can.
Thank you so much. Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
Dinesh. Have a great day. See you. Take
Yes,
care.
thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
everyone. Thank you. See you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.